YouTube, what's going on? Make sure you hit that subscribe button and a notification bell now. Let's go. All right, what I'm doing is I'm starting with a number 2. And then what I'm doing after that is I'm taking that number 2 and I'm shaving all that hair that he have off his head. He got a lot of hair, y'all. What I do is I start off with a number 2 because I'm going to go lower, but what I realized is that you need to go a little higher because people's hair patterns grow differently. And if you just go straight to the number that you was going to cut at the end, then you're going to have a whole bunch of bald spots. You see he got a lot of spaces in his hair and his hair pattern grows different everywhere. So you have to be very careful. So that's why you're seeing me cutting all different type of ways, because I'm not only cutting with the number 2, but I'm looking at how his hair pattern grows all over his head. Now what I'm using next is a number 0. A 0 guard. Now what is the 0 guard? 0 guard is actually like a 1.5. I would say it's 1.75. So it's a little bit above a 1.5. Now what I did next is use a balding blade. And my fault, man, I didn't push that man's head. it seems like it looks worse than what it really is. I mean, I actually pushed his head a little soft, but dog. Anyways, balding out. I'm balding out next. I'm setting that first demarcation line. All right, what I'm using next is a number 1, and I'm going up about 1 inch. There I go, pushing his head again. I'm telling you, y'all forgive me. I be trying to get this work done. So I'm giving myself enough space to fade. Now I'm taking out that first demarcation line with a 0 guard open, and these are my gray clippers. I don't have those no more. I actually gave those away to someone who really needed them. I like those clippers. So I went up about 1/2 inch with no guard, so I can still keep the number 1 guard pattern there. So it might seem like I'm creating another line. I mean, technically I am, but not really. I'm cleaning up that first demarcation line, and I'm flicking out that second demarcation line while I'm taking out the first demarcation line. I'm using my wrist. Now what I'm doing is I'm using my wide blade. Now my wide blade is equivalent to a 1/16 guard, which is a 000 guard. And a 000 guard is right under a 1. So what I'm doing is I'm taking care of the detail work. So I'm still taking care of cleaning up that first demarcation line. Those are my twins. They look so young. You should see them now. All right, now what I'm doing is I took a 0 guard and I'm cleaning up the second demarcation line. Now what I'm using is I'm using a 1.5 guard. And I went right under that 0 guard, which I told y'all before is 1.75. It's a little bit above the 1.5 guard, so I'm scooting right under there, and I'm still loosening up that second demarcation line. So that's why you're seeing me going from a 1.5, and I go back up to the 1.75 guard, which I'm doing right now. Now I'm scooting up again, and I went up to a number 2. See that circle right there? It's a dark spot. I don't know if y'all can see it on the camera, but I took my masters and went back to a 1.5 guard just to take that little dark spot off the side of his head. Cause like I said, his hair and his hair grow differently in a whole bunch of places. So that's all I'm doing. I'm doing my steps now. I did my steps, which is balling it out, taking the number 1, taking the 1.5, taking the 1.75 up, and then number 2. See, those are my steps. And then I go right back down and clean it back up. But after I do that, now what I'm doing is detail work. So after you do your steps, sometimes stuff still be there. So the demarcation lines still be there. So you have to just do whatever you got to do to get rid of it. So that's why you saw me using the 1, and now I'm using my 000 blade, which is my Y blade. I'm still working on that first demarcation line because I still see it, and I know that you all can see it too. So if you see on the left side of his head, he has a natural bald spot right there. And I'm going to fix that up in just a second. But right now it is line up time, ladies and gentlemen. This is my favorite part. So what I do is I step back and I line up. I look at both sides because you got to make sure your lineup is even. And what I'm gonna do is his skin is dry. So I know y'all see dry skin right there, and I'm gonna take care of that shortly. So after I line everything up, I'm gonna spray him with some alcohol to sanitize it, and then I'm gonna use oil to clean it right up. So y'all don't pay no mind to that. So what I'm doing is what I call the C effect. I'm just curving it around like a pencil. And I'm just looking at it. I'm looking at every single step. Like I said, with his hair texture, you have to be very careful. Like you have to brush it and then cut it and brush it, but don't rush it because you will have a bald spot. I'm trying to tell you. You can already see light spots all over his head naturally. So you have to figure out exactly what you need to do to cut it. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm thinking and cutting. I'm thinking, but I'm being very careful. That's why you see me cut a little bit, step back. Cut a little bit more. Then I step back again. I'm like, all right, cool. Side note, I really enjoy the Slimline Pro LIs. Still to this day. I know we got all these clippers that keep on coming out, but them Slimline Pro LIs are the best to me as far as balding out and all type of stuff. Side note, go down in my description. Go down to my description and click the link and purchase the clippers, and that'll help me out on my page. Give me some form of percentage. I appreciate it, you know. Now what I did was switch to my T outliners, which is still to me one of the best clippers out there. No matter what, they just still are. It's some close ones now, but that lineup that those T outliners give, it just makes the hairline pop. Now all you seeing me do right now is just detail work. I'm already finished. Now what I'm doing is, my son was holding the camera, so if it's shaking up a little bit, you know, don't mind that. Now what I'm doing is I'm adding color enhancements because the client enjoys color enhancements, and it helps fill up spots when people have naturally gappy, bald out haircuts. As you can see, you see that light spot on his head. That's just don't grow the same as everywhere else. You got to do something. You got to put some color enhancement on that. So that's what you see me do. What I did was take 2 cards and I'm just spraying, and I'm adding that pump it up. And what the pump it up is doing is holding the color enhancements in place so it can last longer for quite a few days. Now mind you, it's a difference between temporary color enhancement and dye. Y'all leave it in the comment section if y'all want me to do a video to really explain the difference between temporary dye. Yeah, he look in the mirror like, golly. I appreciate that. Now once I let everything dry, then I go back over with my T outliners. Like all this stuff is just the detail work. How do you take your haircuts to a whole nother level? It's in the details. Spraying them with that oil sheen on them. And voila. We are done. We are done. If you guys have any questions, leave it in the comment section. Once again, I appreciate everybody who's been following me on this journey. Hit that subscribe button and that notification bell. Do it right now. Don't wait, do it right now. Help me get my page up, y'all. I appreciate everything. That haircut is super crispy still to this day. This is Shine Allen Cuts. I'm out. Peace.